Ladies and gentlemen, SideStrafe back with World of Warships. And today, triple perspective, triple Dunkirk matchup. That's right, 3 Dunkirks in a division. In this replay, I'll be joined by MP38 and Joseph. You may know those names if you frequent my live stream. But this day, we had decided to group up and see what 3 of these things could do together. And with that said, this is quite possibly one of the most insane matches I've ever been a part of in World of Warships, or maybe even any multiplayer game. The end result is worth watching this thing in its entirety. But we're starting out here with my perspective. This is my Dunkirk, and for the most part, when we play together, I tend to be the one taking point and calling targets. I'll label a contact and a direction, and we will all open fire on it. Focus fire is key in any warfare situation or video game here. And one of the pros to the Dunkirk, as we switch to MP's perspective here, is the fact that you've got all 8 main battery guns at the front of the ship. It's going to allow you to throw a lot of rounds downrange, and now add in the fact that I've got 2 allies here focus firing on the same target. That's a lot of firepower, regardless of RNG. As you can see, Ampy laying waste to that vessel as it tries to get into cover. Now, with the Dunkirk, you want to fight bow forward. You could say that about a lot of battleships or battle cruisers in this game, but especially this one. Your side armor, not so great. You don't have any rear guns for an escape shoot maneuver. A lot of people like to run away from a fight while shooting the back guns. You can't do that in this. All the guns you see back there are secondary battery, and they're not going to do you a whole lot of good when running from a fight. You especially don't want to run from a fight because the armor at the stern or on the sides of this thing, again, not amazing. It's not going to keep you alive for very long. Your best armor is at the bow, and if you show that to the enemy 100% of the time, angle that towards the enemy fire, you're gonna last a lot longer than you think. Plus, you've got all those guns up front there, whereas other ships typically might only have 4 or 6. You've got 8. And the downside to the guns would be the fact that they seem to be a little RNG happy. Sometimes finding a citadel on a battleship is not easy. More often than not, when you're landing citadels with these guns using AP rounds, it's probably against a cruiser. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't use AP against the broadside of a battleship. You should, because you'll net somewhere from 7 to 9,000 damage as long as you're penetrating the armor. Now, also, don't be afraid to switch to high explosive, especially if you're engaging the front of a vessel that you can't pen. Just keep in mind that your reload time is pretty long, so choose wisely. I tend to stick with the AP here just because we're engaging the broadsides of a lot of these ships who are kind of carelessly sailing around and exposing themselves in such a way that proves beneficial to our firing strategies. We're back to my perspective here, and again, just checking for flat targets while also trying to pay attention to our surroundings. You can see that these torpedoes are getting a lot closer, and that's the biggest problem with the slow roll, is that you'll have clever destroyers wanting to get around you and take advantage of the fact that you're not going full speed. You can see that I'm actually reversing here. This ship does reverse very well, and if you're getting too close to the enemy, you don't want to turn around, because the second you turn, they're going to eye your weak side armor, and you won't last very long. So find ways to keep the front facing the enemy at all costs. Just be mindful of destroyers. Back to some shots out with Joseph here now. Again, you can see us all just focus firing the same targets, and it adds up quickly with that many guns at the bow. Issue at hand is the fact that we've lost quite a few ships already. Another one down the drain. We are also losing territory control. Enemy points steadily rising as we go back to MP's perspective. Contact left, focus fire, engaged. This is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. And you can do this with any ship or any group. Get on voice comms with your buddies, call these targets out. Hit the flat ships if they're available to you. But again, torpedo threat here as MP puts her into reverse, trying to dodge these bad boys. Near miss here. Be very, very careful when slow rolling in any ship. Back to my Dunkirk as we are trying to move away from their massive destroyers, netting a citadel as we're on the way to perhaps get into cover. I believe at this point I was thinking about using this island here for right side cover. I wanted to sail up to it in order to engage these threats on the left side of the map. But as you can see, the enemy has complete territory control. Half our team is gone. 714 in regards to points for them. Not looking good at all. The only order we can continue to give is focus fire. Hope to take some ships with us on the way out. Torpedoes on the way, though. Moving into us. The problem is exposing the flank of the ship to main battery fire, which is why you didn't see quick movement past the island at this point. Back over to MP. Cruiser deciding to make a push. Bad idea. Nets what looks like a plunge into the citadel. Sadly, Joseph and I are having some problems with torpedoes. Joseph taking one to the bow here. Using his repair to stop flooding. These things will flood quite easily. Don't really expect any type of fantastic torpedo bulge protection. But again, we're just constantly calling out targets, trying to take people with us. At this point, we feel that it's pretty much over, and the only thing we can do is maybe net some damage. Sending out our catapult fighters to perhaps provide some additional spotting. On MP's view here, we are engaging this Gneissen now. Perfectly flat for us. Prime target. Shots hitting him. And there it is. Don't sail flat to the enemy. Especially when you're in one of the larger German battleships. Really easy target. Back over to my perspective here. Watching out for those torps. I'm planning to get a shot out. Back on the torps.
We've destroyed an enemy cruiser.
Cool guys. Don't look at explosions. They do want to watch out for those torpedoes, though. Which, unfortunately, have put us in a really bad position when facing this Gneissen now. Back to Joseph. He is not doing very well. His ship has been devastated throughout this mission. No health. He is flooding. No immediate chance of repair. And another torpedo out, possibly by that Japanese cruiser. This is going to be it. We lose Joseph. And back to my ship for a massive strike to the side, making it right through that armor. And things aren't looking good. Torpedoes front, trying to cut into them. Near miss there. Almost bought the farm on that one. At this point, I'm just hoping to get one last salvo because it's not looking good for my Dunkirk. Rounds out on the way, just above the armor. Not a citadel, but enough to perhaps allow MP to finish the job. That is a prime example of a fight you don't want to be in as the Dunkirk. But really the only reason we're alive in that is because of teamwork. We lost Joseph to a torpedo, but we were able to stick together and focus on the Gneissen now and get some work done as we try to engage some of these destroyers, which have been a major threat to the bulk of our forces this match. Things are still not looking good. We've taken some people with us. but they have territory control. We're trying to at least grab this point and grab a few more numbers as we go. Engaging destroyers. Doing some damage with AP there. Again, you can switch over to HE, which is what I'm doing right now. Get that lead, hoping for just one shell. There it is.
Enemy destroyer blown up.
One less destroyer to worry about. They still got another and 2 battleships, I believe. A Warspite in Colorado, which we haven't seen in a while. I'm just trying to use some spinach here to heal up the ship. At this point, we are discussing options. What can we do to either take a few more ships with us or stop that countdown timer? We're going to have to split up. That's really the only option. We believe that the southwest portion of the map is free and clear of enemies, but we're not too sure about northeast. We haven't seen those 2 battleships in a while, and who knows where that destroyer is. So I am in the weakest ship currently, as we can see here, so I decide to take the southwest point. Empy's got the most health as he attempts to move forward. Not something you usually want to do by yourself, especially in the Dunkerque. As you've seen throughout this match, this vessel is quite vulnerable to a variety of caliber types. We have thinned their numbers substantially, but we're not sure about the remaining battleships. We do have an ally that is still alive, I believe in the Geneisa now, and he may be able to also assist when focus firing targets. Shots out AP on the destroyer, not enough to finish him, sadly, as MP attempts to dodge some incoming torpedoes. These ones don't look good. He is going to take one. Can he dodge these? Yes, he can. Alright, so he's still going forward. Thankfully, no flooding damage there, so he doesn't have to use his damage control. He does decide to heal up a little bit. Contact. That's a lot of health on a battleship, especially a Colorado. MP looks to engage. Now, the thing here is that he's trying to get into cover. I believe I was telling him over voice comm, try to get into cover, hide. Try to get to the point without taking any fire. He's pretty flat to this guy, though, which is not a great idea. And the point is quite a ways up on the other side. But what he's trying to do, I believe, is just kind of get behind these land masses. But as you can see, he's paying the price for his maneuvers. Back over to me. All I can do is watch and listen to him over Discord. I am capturing this point, however. That'll give us a few numbers, but they're at 922, ladies and gentlemen. Our ally is also engaging these threats, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. We do take this point, and I now decide to sail into combat to see if I can assist, at least throw down some rounds, provide some sort of fire support while MP attempts to get into the capture point. Now, we weren't aware at the time, but getting into the point actually stops the countdown timer. We were just hoping to maybe flank around these guys and get some damage. I believe MP sails in, and we notice that the countdown stops, and so we're like, wow, maybe we can actually do something here. Our ally, unfortunately, just bought the farm. Nice citadel there on the Warspite. He's going to turn here to try to get that bow armor back into the fight. I am now in engagement range. One salvo of HE out, switching over to AP. I can now provide fire support to MP. I'm going to do what I can from here. Back over to MP as he continues to engage and cap territory. They're not going to make this easy on him, though. You can see how he's kind of trying to use this island a little bit as well. Pointing that bow towards these foes. It's really the only option he has. And again, you don't want to go too fast. You don't want to overextend. You're trying to stay in the cap. Don't forget about the reverse option, which might have been something that he could do here. His secondaries are starting to open up a little bit, but it's not going to be enough. Nice hit on that Colorado. He appears to be somewhat shielded from the Warspite. The Colorado is now flat to me as I continue to sail in to assist. Aiming for American Dreadnought speeds. Rounds go a little too far forward, but still doing some damage. I'm not wanting to get too close, though, because I realize that if the enemy decides that they want to shoot at me, I might not be able to survive the blast. Keep in mind that we stopped their capture at 998. Another shot's in from my Dunkirk on the side. Still maybe a little too far forward, but massive damage. The Colorado is on fire. Will it be enough to allow him to burn out? There it is.
Enemy battleship destroyed.
MP had switched to HE. Might have also come into play from secondary battery. The Warspite has now decided to engage me, as I appear to be his solution. My health not great, just used up a little bit more spinach there to heal up. Trying to maintain an angle. The problem is those Warspite guns are heavy, and if he gets plunging fire, bow front isn't going to be enough to save me. So we're calling these targets back to MP. Warspite engaging. Shots out on the flat broadside of this Warspite. Doing some decent damage there. As he's attempting to cap, MP cannot leave that capture point. We did knock them down a bit with the Colorado loss. 7,000 damage. Back over to MP. Can he finish it with this shot? We have all of the territory locked down. Come on. Where's that shot? Oh, a massive 8,000, but not enough to finish him. Loading up baguette rounds on my Dunkirk. On the way. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Perhaps one of the most intense, insane, crazy comebacks in World of Warships history. I've never seen better. Wow. Look at that score. MP and Joseph, of course, backing me up. Wouldn't have been able to do any of this without those guys. So, teamwork pays off. And you know what? The Dunkirk is not a bad ship. Regardless of what you may have heard, played correctly, even by yourself, it can get the job done. It just requires a lot of patience. But, ladies and gentlemen, really hope you've enjoyed this gameplay. I know I have. So, thank you so much for joining me, and I will definitely see you on the next one.